Hi, my name is Daniel, and today I'll be showing you how to caramelize onions. So we'll be talking about knife skills, and we'll also be talking about the browning process. Always remember to wash your hands. Be sure any utensils, pans, and measuring cups are washed with soap and hot water, and sanitize all counters and surfaces. So the main knife we'll be using today is the Santoku knife, also known as the vegetable knife. As you can see, there is no paring tip on the end. This is helpful because sometimes when using a paring tip, it can get stuck on the board, but for this knife you see that doesn't happen, it slides very easily. And there's also no forged heel, so if you look at it you can see the heel is the same thickness as the rest of the blade. Just a little bit more about the knife. This part is the bolster and the handle, and when looking at a knife you want to make sure that the metal, you can see, goes all the way around through the handle. And this is what we call a full tang. And the other knife we'll be using, just briefly, this will be used to peel the onion. It's a paring knife. See, it's got the paring tip, and it's very good for small, intricate detail work. Alright, so proper technique is very important when using a knife. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how to hold a knife. What you're going to do is you're going to take your thumb and your index finger and place it around the bolster, and then wrap the rest of your fingers around and inch up on the knife so that it's comfortable. And that'll give you a nice hold that you can cut with for a long time without your hand getting tired and hurting. And then standing, when you stand cutting, what you're going to want to do is you're going to take your cutting hand, so mine's my right hand, and you're going to move that foot back. So I'm going to put my right foot back, and I'm going to stand heel to toe, about shoulder width apart, and twist my body. This gives my cutting arm a great deal of motion and a wide range of motion, and makes it very comfortable. With your other hand, you're going to form a claw. So you're going to bend your fingers like this and place your thumb back here. In this way, your knuckles can guide the knife with no risk of cutting your fingers because they're bent. And your thumb will do two things. It'll hold your hand in place while you're cutting, and it can also act as an anchoring point while you're cutting. So you can move your hand like this. With the blade, you're going to want to let the blade do most of the work when cutting. So when you cut, you're going to want to cut down and glide the blade and drag the back of the blade through, just like this. And that'll allow the knife to do most of the work. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and cut our onion. So we'll take our onion, and the first thing we need to do is peel it. So if we take our paring knife, the way to peel it is first you cut in to the stem end. You're going to cut into that, and you're going to peel back right down a line, and this is going to be called your cleaning line. So then you're going to cut on the root end, and you're going to do the same thing and peel it right along the cleaning line. So now we can see we've got this cleaning line here. What we can do is we can go ahead and take our knife and just use it to peel back all of this outer coat. There we go. Now our onion's peeled. So we're going to use our vegetable knife. What we're going to do is we're going to take the blade, make sure proper stance, holding it properly. We're going to cut it straight through the root. So we're basically dividing the onion in half. Just like that. Now, there's two main ways to cut an onion, diced and julienne. For this recipe, we're going to be using the julienne. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the root end, and we're just going to make a V cut. You can see. V cut. We're going to cut out the root. And you can go ahead, get rid of the root, we don't need that part. And then all we're going to do is we're going to take and cut along the lines of the onion, all around. And that give us a nice julienne cut. And after we're done with the julienne, see we have lots of little pieces that are shaped just like this. Okay, now we're ready to start the caramelization of the onions. So first what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 teaspoon of olive oil to a large saute pan. You can add butter also if you'd like. The main thing is that you need to add some type of fat. What this does is it prevents the onions from sticking to the pan, it gives the onions something to cook in, it prevents the onions from burning, and it allows the caramelization to take place without it burning. It also adds flavor to the end product. What we're going to do is we're going to heat the pan on about medium heat until the oil starts shimmering. Okay, now that the oil is hot and starting to shimmer, we're going to go ahead and add our onions that we just cut up to the pan. And we're going to heat them for about 30 minutes. So as they're cooking, you just want to, every once in a while, stir them around a little bit, making sure all the onions are being heated evenly. Okay, so they've been cooking for about 15 minutes now. As you can see, I don't know if you can see very well, but they're starting to turn a little bit brown, and they're definitely getting more flexible. Alright, so the onion is full of lots of sugars and amino acids. So there's 2 processes taking place here. One is the caramelization process. The caramelization process is a non-enzymatic type of browning and is the interaction of sugars with sugars. During this process, heat causes polysaccharides and disaccharides, such as sucrose, to break down into monosaccharides, such as fructose and glucose. Caramelization occurs at 170 degrees Celsius. Fructose and glucose are reducing sugars, so they give some of their electrons to other molecules. As they break apart during heating, their ability to donate electrons will lead to the creation of many new molecules, some of which are responsible for the brown color, and others of which are responsible for its flavor and aroma. The other process taking place here is the Maillard reaction. This is a non-enzymatic type of browning that involves the interaction of sugars and amino acids. When heat is added, the carbohydrates start breaking down. The carbonyl group of the sugars will start binding with the amino groups of the amino acids. This will create all sorts of sugar linked to amino acid molecules, which add delicious flavors and aromas to the onions, as well as dark color. The onions will also become much softer and more flexible during this heating. This is because polysaccharides are responsible for much of the structure in plants, so breaking these polysaccharides down destroys this structure, and the onion is much more flexible and soft. Alright, so they've been cooking for about 30 minutes now, and they look like they're just about done. As you can see, the onions are browned, and they are much softer and more flexible. These onions are now ready to be served in soup, on top of steak, with potatoes, or however else you would like to enjoy them. Thanks for watching.